everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. I chuckle because I never quite know when it's going to go live. It's like you hit the go live button and then it spins. And then you see things like, you know what I wonder? Do you see an oscillation happening? I said this in the live last night. It seems like there's like stripes going on. Okay, so I turned the fan off. That didn't seem to make any difference. Let me turn off these lights. That doesn't make any difference either. That is so weird. Okay, well, can you guys see that? Groovy Lisa, welcome in. Welcome in. We are, in fact, deep diving on some records today. This is a selected randomly from various sections. And yeah, we're just going to talk about why I have that record. Would I recommend it? And then we'll just take a look at it. Just for fun of it. Welcome in, everybody. If you wouldn't mind, thumbs up on the way in the door. I would appreciate it. And then answer any questions you have. We'll just chit-chat like we always do. And just wanted to hang out the last day of 2024. It's been an amazing, amazing year. There has been so much that's gone on this year. It's been crazy. The channel has had a good year. I mean, we've welcomed a lot of new friends. One thing I will say is I have this stack of records, maybe a quarter of a crate's worth of records sitting here on the floor, forlorn, abandoned, not really. I just added 2 new records that I talked about on the show last night. They will not be featured in the show tonight. So if you wanted to see those, go back and check that out. And I've been no room for, I don't have any more crates, and my crates are full to the brim. It's a happy problem. But I need to add storage. And you're saying, well, just grab some boxes, take some of your own advice, which I do. But at the moment, I've used the boxes. So I've got mostly crates. I've got a couple of things I stole from my wife, these little wooden totes that she intended to use them in like a pantry. But I stole both of those. I've got one milk crate over there. And I have the only thing that I have as an option is I do have that terrible Crosley build it yourself crate that is like slotted, and it's like they got rid of it pretty quick. I think it was a terrible design, but it just falls apart. And somebody says, "Well, glad to have you here, Chris. Welcome in. Happy New Year's Eve." Oh, thank you so much. Oh, that's great. I appreciate it. Penny, welcome in. First record player today. All right. Oh, that's so cool. I love it when we get new folks in here because we have this. I always say the people that join the lives are like the inner circle friends. They're the inner circle. We don't have fans here. We only have friends. But the inner circle of folks, because you've got most of our audience is transactional. What that means is they come here to see the review. They don't care about me. They don't care about anything. They just want to point the camera at the thing. People that kind of want to do they you know what I mean? They're like, how would I describe it? They're more interested in other things. So doing lives, their thing, live events and things. They're more interested in that kind of stuff. And then the folks that show up to the live broadcasts usually represent that inner circle of people. And I'm seeing more people, names I don't recognize, in here, which is great. Now, some people watch the rebroadcast because inevitably this is a great time for some people, and it's a terrible time for others. So, not everybody can make the live. So those of you that were able to, I'm just glad you're here. To those that couldn't do it, I apologize. I need to do more early in my day lives for the people that aren't able to make the evening ones. Happy New Year Eve from Shay and Denise. Welcome in. So glad and so thankful. Happy New Year to each and every one of you. This is a really fun, but this isn't important per se, especially the things that you and I have been through in the last year and a half. I'm very grateful for many, many things. So picking a New Year's record resolution is just for fun. It's just silliness. But I do have one, and I will share that with you in a little bit. But I think there's nothing better to do than to start reviewing some records. So feel free, as I talk, to jump in with any question in the comments. I'll do my best to stay on top of it. Again, these are 10 records that Rain's Place, my wife, picked out for us to talk about today. So these are records that, for whatever reason, I was either gifted, I purchased, I inherited, which I've done all of those things, and I've decided to hold on to, and for what reason? So we're going to talk about that. The very first choice is a record I've had for quite a while. Now, keep in mind, I did not get into vinyl before, like, I think I got into it like 2015. Before that, I was digital only. I did own a few records that were, and before 2015, I was not interested. I was like, how many songs and how much old time radio can I cram in this little generic MP3 player? But when I did get back into it in 2015, this is one of the first ones that I picked up. I don't remember if I inherited this or not, or if I picked it up from a thrift store, an antique store. The back is in rough condition. We've got some water damage there, some ring wear. I remember early on, I just wanted records. I didn't have anything. So I was like, if I thought it might be kind of interesting or it might make for a good show, because shortly after I started getting back into vinyl, I started the channel. Greetings from Germany. I remember the reviews only, guys, I admit it. That's okay. I'm glad you're here. Well, you're not really. If you're here, then you are inner circle just because you stepped in the door today. So thank you for it. And again, not to disparage anybody, I'm thankful for any of you, whether it's transactional or not. So yeah, I love musical theater, and my wife comes from a Broadway and musical theater background, and so that's why I picked this up. I don't think I do see a stage show now and then, and I love it and probably like that version better if it's the first one. But if I read the book first, I like the book. If I watch the movie first, I like the movie. If I see the stage show first, I like the stage show. But mostly I see the movies first. So this would, you'll notice my musicals on record, on vinyl, are typically the movie adaptations. The front cover this is a tip-on sleeve here, which means it's a sticker. The cover, like the actual jacket itself is white, and then the photograph, the image is pasted on there, and they call that a tip-on sleeve. It gives them the opportunity to give a little bit more lush printing with some flourishes like metal stamping and high gloss like this one has, versus printing directly on the jacket. I used to think the tip-on sleeve meant when there was a little bit of a distant or a little bit of an opening on the edge so you could grab it better. That makes more sense. But anyhow, this is a Capitol release. This is W740 high fidelity. I believe this is mono. Yep. So this will be a mono high fidelity record. Capitol. This is on a pretty generic Capitol gray and silver label. Let's take a gander. Always not just the jacket. We're going to look at the actual records too. I like that. And this is the essence of what I really like doing, and that's savoring the records. I do enjoy the equipment and the tech, but that's not why I started this channel. Paul says lots of buffering. Dang, I apologize for that. Had that happen last night too, and I don't know if the internet's just busy, so I appreciate it. Hopefully it's watchable and listenable. But here is the pressing itself. I am not one of those guys that can look at it and be like, oh, it's a VG plus. I just look at it and kind of give you my opinion. This has some scuffing, a couple scratches. This is listenable. It's definitely not in super good condition. I do see a little bit of that rainbow sheen that comes through once a record is really cleaned up and polished. All of these records will have been deep cleaned on the spin clean. I do have the ultrasonic cleaner. Been kind of unimpressed with that. I was really expecting that thing to be just the best clean ever. And honestly, if my experience is that it's almost as good as a spin clean and a lot more of a pain in the butt to deal with and a lot more expensive. So yeah, this is usually when you see long play on the record rather than stereophonic, that means it's mono. So this is a mono pressing, about 140 grams. It's a nice pressing. A little bit of water damage on the label there too, you can see. So that is the first entry, Capitol W740. As you get more familiar with different labels like Capitol, RCA, etc., you'll start to recognize their naming conventions, and you'll be able to be like, oh yeah, that's how Decca does their mono labels, etc. Hey, Joseph Bennett is one of our members. So if being in the inner circle of just being here isn't enough, and you want to join the official inner circle, which is our membership program, which only costs 99 cents US dollars per month. And you get exclusive content sometimes. Sometimes we'll do an early access to videos and things, and just little thank yous, and mostly just the support of the channel. You can join as well. You get exclusive badges and little icons and things that you can share in lives and the highlight as well. Joseph, thank you for your support and a happy new year as well. Appreciate you jumping on here. Okay, so that is going to be record numero uno for consideration tonight. Where do I want to put these? I guess I'll just put them one behind the other. Okay. Next up, record number 2. Oh, yes. I remember picking this up. I think, did I inherit this? So far, I don't recall 100% the 2 that I've picked or that have been picked for me. If I chose them or if I inherited them. I remember a relative that was living with us at the time had a bunch of records in the basement. That I remember doing videos early on in the channel about crate digging in your own basement, and I literally had no idea there was boxes of records down there. But sure enough, this might have been one of those. So this is an iconic album, Saturday Night Fever, the original movie soundtrack, obviously an iconic disco title here, the Bee Gees. We've got John Travolta there strutting his stuff. And this jacket, it is a gatefold. We'll look at that in a minute. You can see it looks like some ring wear. Yeah, definitely some ring wear over here, which is just the edge of the record being raised up higher than the jacket, and the thing either being stacked vertically or horizontally. And then a lot of wear. You can prevent that with sleeves, and that's one reason you want an outer sleeve. And then a lot of surface damage over here. I've never been I want the best copy and I'll only settle for the best copy kind of guy. I've always been like the best that I can get, the best that I can afford, or if it has to be the worst copy. I've got records that are in bad condition, but I still enjoy them. And I know that I can go listen to some pristine streaming example of a record, but or of an album, but just to have the physical media is worth it. So, all right, looking on the back, the Gibb brothers there. Yeah, very, very, very cool. This is iconic. Even if you're not into disco, surprised she picked this one because disco is not her favorite genre. Got some pictures from the movie. Again, this screams 70s, but it also screams physical, tactile interaction with your media. You sit there on the couch, look through these pictures as you're listening to your music. You're not distracted with something else. This used to belong to somebody named Doug Nicole. I think that's what that is there. So, yeah, very interesting. 1977 RSO Records. You can see the logo down, the little red bull. 1977. Now, what is the catalog number for this? Also available on 8-track and cassette. Manufactured and marketed by RSO Records, Sunset Boulevard. Okay, this is 2685-123. I also have the original inner sleeve with the lyrics, an additional black and white. These paper sleeves that have pictures or lyrics and stuff, I keep with them, even though I don't keep the record in it anymore. Paper sleeves, not the best thing for your disc. All right, what do we got here? This is the record itself. Pretty thin pressing, about 120 grams. It's kind of like a an RCA, what are those called? Shoot, I can't think of what it's called, but that's super thin Dynaflex discs. RSO, this is in pretty dang good condition. Looking at it just visually in this dim lighting here in the evening. Okay, so one side's got some scratch and some scuffing. This side's looking pretty pristine. So that's a win-win. Here's a hint, a little trick for you. If you've got a record with scratches and you've got a record with scuffing, especially this applies for older records, and chances are it was played with a rounded tip conical stylus, in which case that the stylus probably didn't sit that deep in the groove. So a lot of that wear happens at the top of the groove or the middle of the groove. If you play a scuffed and scratchy sounding record with an elliptical stylus is sharper and it rides deeper in the groove, you can bypass a lot of the scratches and things that where the damage has been done, and kind of discover new depths to the grooves that play back in really good condition. The only caveat is if you are playing a record with an elliptical stylus, because it rides deeper in the groove, it'll pick up more of the junk, grit, dirt, and sand that may be in there. So the record has to be very clean. So as long as the record is clean, you can make it sound new again. So original movie soundtrack, yes, RS2-4001. Yeah, record. Oh, it's a 2-disc set, and I only have 1 disc. I was wondering why the gatefold. Sometimes there'll be a gatefold with only 1 disc, but usually it's because you have 2 records, and apparently I'm missing 1. So, yeah, the standards for records that I thought were worth keeping were a little lower in the early days of Record-ology and just me collecting. As long as I got Saturday Night Fever, that's all that matters, right? I like disco stuff. Okay, that's the second record for today's video. 8 more to come. When I'm dealing with older sleeves, a lot of times I like to put the record itself outside of the jacket on the inside of this. So I've got like a rice paper inner sleeve, and I just put it on the outside along with that paper, and it gives you the rigidity of the jacket while not splitting the seams and stressing out the jacket any further. So that's just the way I do it. A lot of people do it that way. A lot of people think that's nuts, but like I always say, it's subjective. Everybody's right and everybody's wrong. All right, let me get caught up on comments, and we'll proceed. Oh, that's cool, Andreas. That sounds like a good record. Joseph, amen to that. Peace for everybody in the world. That's my prayer. Absolutely. Peace, peace, peace. Patrick says, oh, in agreement, but not holding his breath. That's what we hope and pray for. Hello from Colorado. That's where I'm from, born and raised. In fact, we just moved out here a couple of years ago. Our first about 6 years of the show was filmed out in Colorado. Was just back in Colorado this past October, and just got back from Christmas a couple of days ago. I have a few blank Record-io discs that I got in Arc Thrift. Wow. Is there any way to record on them? Or do you have a machine to cut vinyl? I don't have a lathe. My friend Fardamark does. In fact, he's just working. I think he got a new cutting head or something for it. But yeah, I don't have a way to records yet. He has cut a record for me, and I am in the market for it, because if you're not aware, the Mrs. Rain's Place on YouTube, tagged in the description. If you want to go follow her, I would appreciate it. She sings, does many, many things. She's a woman of many talents. And she has released music commercially, and we want to press that to vinyl. So I've been looking into different pressing shops as well. So if you have tips on that, pressing vinyl, my friend Fardamark just a couple days ago sent me demonstrations from like 10 different places that use varying quality, heated head, non-heated head, lathe cut, direct to disc, all this stuff, DMM, non-heated, embossed, all these different technologies. So far, One Groove vinyl, I think, is the best sounding one. So if you have anybody that can beat One Groove vinyl, let me know. The downside with them is it's expensive. Pay for what you get, but it's worth, investing. And its turnaround's a couple of months, so you can't be in a huge hurry. But that's really cool that you found them. Can you play them back? And if so, what did you find on them? I'd be curious about that. Happy New Year, all. Cutting out to go home, eat shrimp, watch football, listen to music, fall asleep in my chair before midnight. Patrick, that is a night well spent. Happy New Year's to you as well, my friend. Right before Christmas, I bought Dolly Parton's Christmas album. All right. Yes, it is. Did you get the one? Where is my copy? I might still have it over here. Because I guess the one that she released on her own label is like it sounds like it may be a better copy. That's the one I have. I don't have it here. Dang it. It's over there. Do I have it here? No, I don't think I have it here. Yeah, it's over in the Christmas. I think I put it away. That's a great record. I don't know which version or where I got it, but my copy is the white. It might be a Walmart version, but it's a white vinyl pressing. It is hefty. Probably one of those 180-gram pressings. That's cool. Really cool. How was it? Was it a good company? Is Kunaki? Were they good? Oh, I see what you're saying. They're blind. They're blank. Yeah, don't send them to me because I don't have. I would. I don't know. I'm not sure. There are places that can do it though. So I would. I would look for various places that have the ability to cut vinyl and ask them. Yeah, Joseph, Holly Dolly Christmas is so good. The song with her and Jimmy Fallon, All I Want for Christmas, is next level. Okay, next record. That was like way more than 10 records here. All right, so talking about vinyl. Oh, really? Sounds like it might be embossed then. Yeah, I'd really like to get, and apparently a lot of people don't like lathe cut records. And it's probably because of the different quality settings and technologies that are out there. But you got to think every record was a lathe cut record, right? Even a pressed record was a pressing from a lathe cut record. It has to be a lathe cut record to begin with. Alrighty, next record in the collection. This is going back to the topic of New Year vinyl resolutions, and this is one from a couple of years ago. I think 2 years ago. I decided I wanted to start collecting Peggy Lee. Now, Peggy Lee records, there's a lot of them because she had a lot of albums. Unlike Patsy Cline, when I collected the Patsy Cline stuff, there was a lot less out there. But Peggy Lee had dozens of albums. So it took a little bit of while, but I had a really good time of it because a friend of mine back in Colorado was liquidating her father's radio studio because he was a collector and had a radio station and had a bunch of music that I was interested in, and including almost a ready-made collection of probably half a crate full of Peggy Lee. So this comes from that. So I've got that here to show with you. I like her stuff from the late 50s and early 60s the best. This is If You Go. And this is great because it's orchestrated and conducted by Quincy Jones, who sadly passed away. But Quincy's music, I love his music. And obviously he's worked with everybody from Frank Sinatra to Michael Jackson. He's a good friend of Frank Sinatra, actually. And I just love, like, Sinatra's album he did from the what casino was that? He had this awesome live album. I think it was 67. Music was the orchestra was led. It was the Count Basie Orchestra, led and conducted by none other than Quincy Jones. Anyway, so Peggy Lee, early 60s here. I don't have the exact date. I'm guessing this is 60, 61. This is ST 1630. So this is a Capitol stereo record. And as you can see, this was very, very, very popular in the 60s. You have the blurb. You have, other albums that you might be interested if you're interested in this, and you've got the track listing. And this is in pretty good condition. It's interesting how it's got that looks like a knockout, a punch out. If you have a record or a CD or a tape with a hole drilled through it and you're wondering what that is, those knockouts or punch outs are basically indicators that the record is unsold stock. So what would happen is they would send the record store 100 copies of this record, and let's say 95 of them sold, but there was 5 that never sold. They would drill holes through the 5 copies and resell them after the fact without any royalties to the composer or the artist. So anyway, this is a very cool, another tip-on sleeve. I can feel the edge of that sticker there, full color image there. And these are quality recordings. So this is on a rainbow label, a capital rainbow. This looks fantastic, rotating on a record player. Okay, condition-wise, pretty good. A couple of scuffs and scratches. This is a used but listenable record. If I had to guess on actual grading, I'd say probably a VG. But it's something that I would definitely listen. It's still got that rainbow sheen. You can see where the light's hitting it there, sort of a rainbow color. There's life left in this record. It's been deep cleaned. Beautiful rainbow label there. Capitol Records. Solid 135 gram pressing probably. And most of the music is modulated out. The run out groove is pretty big. So this is a record that was pressed to sound really good. And again, it lives in a Hudson Hi-Fi. I also use tack mork inner sleeves. Those are really good. I know there's a lot of brands out there. Rice paper, anti-static. This one has a really good jacket, so it lives actually in the jacket. There's no splits or anything like that. And then I have, looks like this is pretty scuffed up, so this must be an original outer sleeve. Sometimes I let those slide. Brick Brack Audio. I bought this. Okay, so that's an ARC thrift store purchase, $1.99. So this one was not from my friend. Apparently, I picked that up. Peggy Lee, If You Go, ST1630. With the Peggy Lee stuff, if you're interested in her music, she did so many things that it's hard to know where to start. I would start with the greatest hits and then follow it down from there. It's like any other artist. Usually there's one or two songs per album that were the big hits. But if you like one Peggy Lee song, you'll probably like them all. Alrighty, let me get caught up on comments. Thank you for being here, by the way. I appreciate you guys. $44 minutes. Yeah, 22 per side. Yeah, and that's a good point, is that there's so much control of the mastering of a disc, right? How deep the groove is, how wide it is. And that's, RIAA curve, which, basically that's a topic for another day. But again, that's all designed to help minimize how much real estate is needed on the record. If you've got a DMM pressing, they're able to modulate those things really tight and still have incredible full fidelity, because it's a different product. Instead of like mastering into a lacquer, they're mastering directly onto the metal itself. Agreed. Yeah, album covers today are not made the same way. Usually they're just printed cardboard. Oh, is that all there is? Oh, that's a great song. And that's, my least favorite era of Peggy Lee is her later years, except for that song. That's an incredible song. That's just an incredible song. Okay, we are going, this is interesting because I still have the tag on it. We're going into the realm of children's music for the next two at least, and I only know that because I'm looking here, and I can see the next one coming up on deck down there. This is GLP 56. Anybody want to guess what record label GLP is? I'll wait a second before I mention it. Oak Ridge Boys. I love the Oak Ridge Boys. I went to an Oak Ridge Boys concert as a very young child, because when I had my Fisher-Price record player and my stack of 45s, most of which were my dad's old radio station 45 singles, I used to sit there and play the drums on this little trampoline we had to the music playing. And my favorite song was Elvira by the Oak Ridge Boys. So my parents, the Oak Ridge Boys were coming through Denver, and my parents took me to it, and I slept through the entire concert. Apparently, I don't remember that. I was very young. I have very, very minimal memories from this, but apparently I slept through the whole thing until Elvira came on. Woke up, listened to the song, and went back to sleep. That's an interesting point about the depth of the grooves. Yeah. Phil Spector as well. Yeah. I don't know the story of Phil. I just know people have told me to get the Phil Spector Christmas album. I need to research. Now maybe I'm glad I didn't buy it. Do I recommend laminating the album covers? I have some that are falling apart. So keep in mind, my perspective is always records are to be used and listened to. It was a long time before I had a record I wanted to frame like this one up here. And that's because that record represented a journey to find it. And I have other copies that are listening copies. So I took my best copy, the earliest version, the first year release, first issue of that record, and I framed it. It's like $100 record, but to me, it's a special thing. Most of the records that I have are dollar store records, or they're new records that I just picked up, and it's not really a resale situation. I thought it was a cool pressing. I think it sounds good. I want it. I love the music. But keeping in mind that that's my kind of unique perspective. I'm not like a record investor at all. I'm not a what's your most valuable record kind of a guy. Although people do ask that from time to time. It's hard for me to answer because I don't know. I like history. I like rare in the sense that there are few of them. I like rare in the sense that it's something that was hard to find, and I did find it. But to me, I'm not like hyper obsessive about the condition of things. As you can tell by, couldn't even tell you. I did a show about record grading, just my personal way of doing it. But I'm not couldn't tell you a VG plus from a VG as good as somebody else could do it. So keeping in mind that's my perspective. I say do whatever you think would make it nicer to you personally. I did a show about repairing these where I would take the sleeve, like this one is split, as you can see there. Just take some clear packing tape. Yeah, that probably ruins the resale value, but the resale value is probably 73 cents on this record. If you have a record that you're concerned may be worth money, if you don't do it a certain way, then adhere to that. Otherwise, do what looks good to you. Do what you think would be the best thing. Don't be afraid. It's yours. It's amazing how many people come on here and tell you how you're wrong for liking or disliking something. It's none of their business what record player you have. It's none of their business if they think you should get a Technics direct drive versus a belt drive Crosley. It's none of their business, but they make it their business. So ignore all that and just do what you want. I personally, like this, is just sitting in the jacket. I got the outer jacket, the outer sleeve, and one of these days, if I'm bored, I might go through and tape this thing up. So any guesses on what label is GLP? This is GLP 56. Little Marcy Christian music. Were those like children's 45s? I may have one if that's what it is. Oh, really? Tammy Wynette opened for him. That's cool. Interesting about Phil. Oh, that's cool. I got some local artists. I have a couple of the it was the band for the it was the Western swing band for the dinner show that burned down, and then they rebuilt it, which I've been back after they rebuilt it. It's a fantastic show. Colorado, what are these guys called? I probably have the record right back here. This is a really flattering angle. Come on. Got some Dolly Parton back here. I need more Dolly Parton. That's another one. That's going to be my secondary New Year's resolution, vinyl New Year's resolution. More Dolly Parton. Murphy's Law. It's going to be the last record I look at. Come on. For real. Where is it? It has to be in here. It's a Western. It's personal now. Sorry. I have to find it. Got a Mini Pearl. You don't come across Mini Pearl on vinyl too often. Shoot. What the heck is it? Where would I have played? Where would I have put that if it's not in here? Come on. I give up. I don't know where it is. That's so weird. That's worrisome. Somewhere I've got 2 records from that band. So yeah, local stuff. Also, I've got some local 1 or 2 records from the Elitch Gardens Trocadero, some jazz music from the 60s, signed by all the jazz artists. That's cool. That's like a 1 of 1, right? That's special. I'd love to get some Christian hip hop on vinyl, like some NF, Lecrae, stuff like that. Hey, welcome in, welcome in. Yeah, I think I might have that record then, if it's a children's record. Okay, now you've got me curious, so I'm gonna look, just for you. I'm going to see if I have that, because I happen to have my children's 45s at arm's length here. Talk amongst yourself. A lot of the Christmas stuff on top because we played a lot. It's always a question, what record will get played each Christmas? Because obviously I don't have time to play them all. I actually pre-filmed, before our trip, I pre-filmed a bunch of recordings. I only posted some of them. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. They're still in my phone. I might upload them and just save them, upload them private and then save it for next year. This is a cool record. This is a, so if you are, what do you have? You have D23. So D23 is the Comic Con for the Disney nerds. I'm not in there. It's an expensive thing. They have a convention every 2 years, but they have these exclusive things for members, which I don't even know anybody personally that's in it. But this last year they issued a record as their sort of giveaway item for members, and it's this really cool red 7-inch recording on one side of the Country Bear Jamboree, which is apropos because that ride closed. The original music is gone now forever. They redid the soundtrack and redid the animatronics. So it's got, and I've got, boy, that was a fun record to find, the Country Bear Jamboree soundtrack. And then on the other side, it's got Nothing Can Stop Us Now, which is the new song to the ride that used to occupy the great movie ride, best ride of all time, in Hollywood Studios. And a friend, actually a family member, gave that to me. They came across it somehow, and they knew I would like it. You can buy that. A lot of people didn't want the record, even though they received it. So a lot of them for sale online. I'm still looking for this record that you mentioned, so hang with me, because I have one that I think might be it. Here's an interesting record. This is a Barbie, kind of a Barbie record. This is plastic. I think this is an ABS disc. And I played this on the show a couple of years ago. Basically, you would put this on a rotating turntable and play the record. It's got a groove on the outside there. And then you would plug your doll onto the top there. This was like a Barbie doll stand. So the record would spin and the doll would be on top there. I like picking up odd things like that. They're fun. Again, maybe worth 10 cents as far as I know, but I don't care. Okay, let's see here. Got me flipping through. Okay, here we go. This is the one I thought it might be, but no, I guess not. So this is a Little Golden record. Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, The Bible Tells Me So, and Have You Read the Bible Today? So this is a golden record. You can see the disc right there. That's the one that I was thinking. So I guess I don't have it. Otherwise, I would probably play it for you, or at least tell you how I found mine. Yes, the Wrangler. Yes, exactly, the Wranglers. Hey, Ethan, welcome in. Congratulations, man. Welcome to the club. Happy New Year to everybody. Absolutely. Happy New Year from Belgium. You're already in the next year, Michael. How is it? How's 2025? We're still stuck last year here. Help. If you want to see my wife and I's trip, She blogged the entire thing. So it's going up in installments. If you go over to Rain's Place, and it's linked in the description down below, subscribe first and foremost, and then check out those videos. She's posted like 2 out of 3 so far. I think she's posting the 4th one tomorrow, or the 3rd one tomorrow. And you'll be able to see some of our shenanigans, including a visit to a record store. Boney M Records, 12 inches. Interesting. As soon as I get home, pretty much turn my room into a drum. It does feel like you're saving a record, doesn't it? If you find one in the wild, you're like, oh no, I got to rescue this. I've often referred to getting a record as rescuing a record. Oh, you have that one. That's interesting. Sorry I didn't have the one you were looking for, man. If I come across it and I think to do so, I'll let you know. Gotta go home. Found a Christmas remix. Happy pre-New Year from Quebec. Happy pre-New Year's to you as well. Happy New Year, everybody. Joe, welcome in. I'm not selling any of my records. I'd like to get the Flying W. Yeah, Flying W, if you... by the way, if you go to the Flying W Ranch, they have some on display there. It's really cool. Mine have turned up in, I think, in thrift stores. And I've been like, oh, that's cool. So local stuff and the Trocadero records, those are killer. All right, so, okay, I never got around to the record. Nobody guessed. So it's GLP 56, which is Golden Records, little Golden Records. Popeye the Sailor Man and Friends with Jack Mercer and May Castell. Does that name ring a bell? You've probably watched a movie with May Castell in it very recently. Anybody want to guess what movie that was? So this is a little golden record that's not so little. It's a 12-inch golden record. I really, really, really wish that they would have made 12-inch records with that same vinylite material that the little 5-inch ones were, or 6-inch ones were made out of. So this is 1960. I only know that because it says right there. And I still have this label on here. I paid $5 for this at an antique mall, apparently. Vendor 47, booth 162. And we've got some old tape. Now, contradicting what I said earlier, if you just put a piece of tape, clearly this was splitting. And somebody took some masking or some clear tape and just, quickly looped it over the edge to try and quickly fix the splitting. Well, that can discolor over time. So this is the artifact of why you may not want to do it the way I do. Just putting it there. But anybody? Yes. Okay, Joseph got it. Christmas Vacation. Grace, she's been dead for 30 years. She was Aunt Bethany. May Castell was also the voice of Olive Oil. I think wasn't she also the voice of Snow White? Was she the voice of Snow White? She did it, or no, Betty Boop. Wasn't she Betty Boop? Yes. But May Castell is a classic name. Jimmy Carroll is a voice that your childhood brain will remember as well. He sang on a bunch of kids' stuff. So yeah, this is cool. Artwork alone, worth the $5, right? That is a display record if I ever saw one. Very typical of, oh, look at this, is so cool. This flapped over when I was looking at it. It looks like this is written on an old Christmas card that they used some scissors. Betty Boop. Okay, yeah, I thought so. Then on the back here, very golden book, golden record-ish. It's, well, you bought this record. Now we want to sell you some more. So here's a bunch of others. This is cool. I may have featured this. I think I might have briefly featured this on the channel. Not a golden record, unfortunately. This thing is thick. This is a hardy pressing. I'm going to guess that this is polystyrene. We'll check it in a minute. I'll show you how to do that. So yeah, it's playable, but it's seen better days. A very boring label for what it is. And yeah, Golden Records. What does it say there? High Fidelity, Long Playing Treasury, LP 56. And it needs a cleaning too, actually. This thing needs at least a dry dusting. So when I feel a record that has a sharp edge, this one has a quite sharp edge, I'm thinking polystyrene. 1960, it wasn't unheard of for there to be polystyrene. Exactly. We're going to tap it to find out. So if I tap it and it's got a dull thud, it's going to be vinyl or something similar. And if it's got kind of a ceramic, almost metallic ring, it's going to be Polystyrene. That's polystyrene. Here, let me turn the fan off. I'm going to do this up by the camera. Probably doesn't come across on camera, but I can hear that it's got that sort of brittle sound to it. So it's thick though. And you know, polystyrene isn't necessarily a bad thing. That record on the wall is a polystyrene record. So I would rather have vinyl, but you know, polystyrene has a bad rap, I think. But yeah, there it is. Popeye. You know what? Let's play a little bit of this. Why not? Let us play. What turntable? Let's use the PLX 500. Let me warm up my Duke Audio tube preamp. Let's fire up the Fluence AI41 speakers. No subwoofer needed. And we're going to go ahead and put on a little Popeye. Hopefully this comes across. I know we've had some bandwidth issues tonight. Yeah, that record, the more I look at it, that's a little rough. So it's not the best condition record. This is, and for a cartridge, I'm using an AT95E. So hopefully we can get down below some of that surface scratches and gunk. Clip speakers, nice. A Marantz, awesome. Hey Kyle, welcome in, man. All right, so let's go ahead and listen to a little bit. I got the speakers about a foot from the mic, so hopefully you can hear this. Let me know if you can or can't. Hoping it's not copyrighted.
Oh, I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm strong to the finish, 'cause I eat me spinach. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man.
He's Popeye the Sailor Man.
Yes, I am.
He's Popeye the Sailor Man.
You eat your spinach?
He's strong to the finish, 'cause he eats
This is spinach. He's Popeye the Sailor Man.
Now I want to guess.
Oh, are they really?
It's all Lucas.
If they're joining Steamboat Willie, Mickey Mouse in a public domain.
And always across them, and none of them gets nowhere.
If anyone dashes to risk his fist, it's Bop and it's Wham, understand.
So keep good behavior, that's your one lifesaver with Popeye the Sailor Man.
He's Popeye.
We should play more music on these lives. That's fun. I like doing that. The trick is, can you find something that's not going to, you know, freak them out? So there it is. It's a little crusty, but it sounds pretty good. I don't mind the pop. I mean, if I was into vinyl and I couldn't stand pops and all that stuff, I'd be going absolutely nuts. Happy New Year's, Florida Clay. I like that. From one Floridian to another. Although I'm a transplant, I'm really a Coloradoan. But I've been here 2 years. What part of Florida are you in? I'm in Orlando. All right. Maybe we can, and I might be able to play a little bit of the next record too. Did that sound decent? Like in terms of coming across okay? Did it sound terrible? Was it unlistenable or was it okay? I'm curious. Okay, good. Wow, you change your cartridge every 200 plays. Hey, if you can do it, it's not going to hurt anything. A diamond should last 1,000 though. All right, next record in the review, 10 random records from the collection. Oh, you as well, Kyle. God bless you. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful New Year. This is fun. Are we having fun? I like doing this. I like it better when there's some structure because we have, I mean, I love doing the comments and things, but I like, you know, having something to talk about. This record jacket was definitely child owned. As I was saying before, the previous record and this one are both kids records. And then we're going on to non-kids records after this. You know, the thing about kids records, if they're still around and they are in decent conditions because they either weren't handled by the child or they had an exceptionally responsible child. Most children, not that way, as is the case with this Mickey Mouse Club record. At first you may be like, oh, that's not bad, but look closer. You can see cracks and dings all over it. All of the corners are folded in. I can just see this kid sitting on this record, it flipping over. It's already a pretty flimsy paper jacket as it is. But yeah, this is a stereophonic Disneyland Records. Disneyland Records can be high quality. Look at the color there. This is not a tip-on sleeve. This is a directly printed on jacket. Maybe because most of it's not photorealistic, most of it's animated, that or it's hand drawn, I should say. They didn't need to do that. But this features 21 hit mouse cartoons. You can see the Big Cheese himself sitting there directing the show. Donald has a broom or a mop, so he's cleaning things up. And Goofy is falling asleep on duty at the camera. Fun fact, I worked in television, and this really did happen where camera operators would pretty much fall asleep. But there we got Annette Funicello in the middle. And on the back, we've got some colored pictures. These are quality records. Look at this, a kid's record with, full color imagery all the way around and not a bunch of advertising crap on it either. So what's really special about me to this, looks like this is part 3. Does that mean that's part 3 or that's just a random design on there? What's really special about this was given to me, apparently Celeste. Celeste, you didn't take care of your record very well. We know it's you because you put your name on there. Anyway, I wonder where Celeste is today. This record really caught my eye because down here in the corner, that is Spin and Marty. If you don't know, Spin and Marty was a serial that was featured on the Mickey Mouse Club TV show. What that means is they would feature like an 8 to 10 minute segment every night that the show aired from this other story that was embedded in the larger production. So they had these serials. They did 2 seasons of the Hardy Boys, which you can see on YouTube. And they did, I think, 2 seasons of Spin and Marty. And Spin and Marty even features one of the actors that was in the Hardy Boys. I think the Hardy Boys was before Spin and Marty. But there were Spin and Marty comics and a couple of really cool songs. So I'm going to try to play some Spin and Marty music. I hope I don't get dinged on it. Hope I don't get dinged on it. Do you guys remember Spin and Marty? Did anybody ever watch that? If you have Disney Plus, last time I checked, they had Spin and Marty, at least one season of Spin and Marty up there. Oh, interesting. I see what you mean about the Morants. That's cool. Chipmunk's Christmas on 8-track. That sounds cool. I'm not sure. I'm not the person to ask about how rare something is, but sounds cool though. Sounds fun. Yeah, the good old BSR is a good one for that. Smoked meat tonight. Okay, I'm accompanying smoked meat. All right. So we've got a Disneyland. This is the kind of boring-ish Disneyland yellow and black label. That shows it really good. This record's had some. Apparently Celeste missed the needle drop a couple of times there. It's pretty worn out, but I think it's actually not that bad. You don't see really much of that rainbow. A little bit of the rainbow, but that's a pretty worn record. But it's still fun. This is totally cool. Like this, I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna throw it away and won't listen to it. It's a little bit off center too, the label print. Let's see if the actual record is. So we are going to listen to the Triple R song. So this is from Spin and Marty. So Spin and Marty basically is it's very 50s show about these 2 boys who end up being friends. They started off being enemies, but they go to a Western camp. And Walt Disney filmed this out at his ranch. I think it's the same ranch that was used in the Back to the Future shoot it, Dad, shoot it sequence. It's mutated into human form. That whole sequence with the time machine crashing into the barn. I think that was out at the same ranch in California. All right, the Triple R song. It's kind of long, so I'm probably not going to play the whole thing, but let's go ahead and see what we got here. A little bit of Spin and Marty, the Triple R song. Cutting through the worn-out record was definitely played with a conical stylus over the years because that elliptical, there was still a little crackle, but the fidelity was really good. I heard the echo, the studio reverb. I heard the whole thing. It was very high fidelity still. And again, for a children's record, that's a solid 130-gram pressing, and even Celeste couldn't ruin it. So, Celeste, if you're watching, we're being a little hard on you here. You actually must have done something right because the record still exists, and the same couldn't be said for kids that really didn't care about the record. The truth is that Celeste loved this record, and she enjoyed it, which is good. So there you go, Mickey Mouse Club, Walt Disney Records, number 1362 catalog number. If you see that and that interests you, pick it up. Check out Spin and Marty; they're awesome. It was kind of like they were like 10-minute episodes. There was like a British kind of butler chef character that was kind of like the buffoon character, but a lovable buffoon. There was the lanky cowhand that became their buddy, and they would get into mischief. They would go on adventures, and the whole story takes place over one summer, and it's a great story arc. It's so fun. So fun. Wolverine 83 says, I proudly own 945s, 278s, and 75 LPs. That's an interesting distribution. Mostly R&B and jazz and rock. That's really interesting because I would feel like most people would have 12-inch LPs and less 45s and less 78s. I have to put this out there every once in a while. Being a collector of Patsy Cline, if you have any Patsy Cline 78s you don't want anymore, you know, our mailing address is open and willing for people that feel led to give. We received some incredible gifts from viewers over the years, by the way, including turntables, which is mind-boggling. All right. You know what, 45s, I'm not a huge 45 fan. I don't like them as much. And the reason why is they just usually don't sound as good to me. And they sound best to me on portable, like 45, like smaller portables. But on turntables, you know, with higher end cartridges, especially like ellipticals, and I'm not talking about just styrene 45s. I'm talking about vinyl 45s, stereo 45s. I've got a couple of those. You know, obviously the mono ones as well. They just usually have distortion to my ears, and maybe I'm doing something wrong. But so far, I haven't found. I just haven't found much success with that. Okay, next album. Oh, it's already up here. This is, oh man, this is a good one. This is an amazing condition record. This is one that looks too good to be true. Like, it looks like a repro. It's so good. And the price tag, the sticker is right on it. 45s are better in a jukebox. I own one and need to fix it. That'd be cool. That makes sense. I mean, it's kind of what they were designed for, right? But on a hi-fi turntable, they just sound subpar to me versus like an LP. When I was out at CES, we talked last night in depth about that whole CES experience, but I went to the Crosley booth, and they do custom-made jukeboxes, full-size, real jukeboxes with really nice cartridges or really high-end units. They're made to order, like $1,000 each. They're built by a company in the UK. I got to see those in action. One that played 78s and one that played 45s as well. Okay, I got to move a little quicker here because we're already at the 1 hour mark, and I've got a lot of records to go. So, and they're sliding down on the floor, which is awesome. Next is a Patsy Cline title. So from my Patsy Cline collection, DL74586. So the DL7 would be the indicator for Decca Stereo. And this is an album you probably haven't seen, even if you are familiar with Patsy Cline. That's because this was one of the albums of new music released after she passed away in 1963. So for they had a lot of music, you know, even though she only recorded like 101 or 110 studio recordings, they had only released 3 albums by the time she passed away, and she had another 3 albums worth of music recorded. So, you know, as sometimes happens, people kind of move on to other things, and these albums didn't get as much publicity as the other ones. So people collecting Patsy Cline typically think that the 3 albums released during her lifetime, which would be the self-titled album over there, Showcase, which is her second album, and then the third album, Sentimentally Yours, they think that's it. So, oh yeah, so exactly. So Joe, you know what I'm talking about. Azzy Chan, welcome in. So Joe, yeah, the Patsy Cline Portrait album is kind of a mix, portrait of Patsy Cline. That's not a mix. That one is another one like this. This is How a Heartache Begins. Those are the two full new albums released after her passing, and then Showcase is her second album. And then there was Patsy Cline's Story. That was the 4th album release, which is a mix of greatest hits and new material. Anyway, you don't come across this very often. At $8? Are you kidding me? We'll do that all day. And it's got a little bit of a peeled off area here. Overall, this tip-on sleeve record is in fantastic condition. Like I was saying earlier, it follows the tropes of early 60s releases with a, if you like this record, check out that record kind of a deal. And a little blurb about the true hi-fi stereophonic record. I try to get, for the artists like this that I collect more deeply than others, I try to get a mono copy and a stereo, because back in this era, this is a fun fact too. Back in this era, you can see stereophonic at the top there. And this isn't the best condition record, but it's very listenable. If this was the mono version, it would say long play 33, where it says stereophonic there. This is a Decca Rainbow label. So this is post 60. Anything post 1960 will have this label, and obviously this is quite a bit past that. But what I was going to say is the stereo mixes and the mono mixes can be different. So the complete different experience of listening to the mono recordings versus the stereo. Why did they do that? You would think that it's the exact same mix, but it's just either stereo or mono, but that's not the case. And the reason is because radio stations were only going to make use at the time of mono records. And knowing that, record labels like Decca would have their best engineers do the mono mix, knowing it was going to be the version that ended up on the radio. And that's what was important to them, because that's how you sold records, was through the radio. People listening and wanting more. So the stereo mixes were often done by the lower level junior engineers, because they were purely for sale. They weren't for rebroadcast. And that's kind of an interesting fact. So early 60s records, get the mono and the stereo. All right, next record. I'm going to try to go faster. We got a couple comments here. Hey, you bet, Joe. Judy Collins record a few months ago. And I immediately thought, I've kind of backed off of that little gag that shipping it to the U.S. would be a killer. I simply moved on. They make good test records. It's just a joke. It's totally a joke. I have nothing against Judy Collins. She's a Colorado artist, but our family has a little bit of history, kind of a good-natured history with her, and it's why I sort of, as an inside joke, started doing that thing with that. So, all right, Manhattan Transfer. If you get one Manhattan Transfer record, this is the one to get. This is iconic. This is on Atlantic. So an interesting concept. These guys in the 70s came out with a band, a group, as it were, to do vocal a cappella singing of jazz and pop standards music, which in the 70s wasn't that cool of an idea, but people loved it. And they became pretty famous, and they're still around. I think one or two of the members have passed away, sadly, but in some form or fashion, they are out there. The song that you want on this record, first of all, Tuxedo Junction, I think was their first. This may be their debut album, 1975, Atlantic Records. Catalog number is SD18133. But the song you want on here is Java Jive. Look it up. Go on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you have. Listen to Java Jive and report back to me. I bet you will love it. I bet you will love it. Interesting label. Atlantic, yellow and black. Kind of a striking design there. I like it. This is about 130 gram pressing. It's pretty, I think it's vinyl. It's got sharp edges though. Maybe 125 gram. Yeah, it sounds good. It's a great record. It's not an audiophile pressing per se, but that's sort of a nebulous term. So check that out. Even if you don't think you would like it, you may surprise yourself. But look up Java Jive. And I do have, because I collect the ones that are worth saving, just not with the record in it, but the paper sleeve, original, full color here, advertising piece, as you can see, what people were being led to purchase in 1975. Got some iconic stuff in there as well. The color on this is immaculate. It's really held up well. All right, back into the sleeve. Thank you guys for hanging with me, by the way. Appreciate it. If you're watching the replay, thanks for that as well. We've got some regular show content coming very soon. In fact, I contemplated doing that instead today, but wanted to do a hangout with me, kind of video. By the way, don't let me forget to share with you before we leave my New Year's vinyl resolution, which is basically what I'm looking to collect next. It may surprise you. Okay, come on, go in the sleeve. I'm trying to do these fast and I'm failing miserably. Here on the East Coast, 6:48 p.m., January 31st, 2024. What a year, what a year. Some ups and downs. Most years have those, right? Okay, but it's been a blessing because I'm still here and you're still here. This is an interesting record. So, what is this? It's this is a Vinyl Moon, I think. Is this a Vinyl Moon? Yeah, it's a Vinyl Moon release. So Vinyl Moon, I use these for demos more than just listening. Typically, it's like a record of the month club, but instead of it being like a certain artist or genre, they're mixtapes. So basically, they're random releases of new and upcoming artists. So it's a way to discover music. And their hallmark, their claim to fame are these incredible packaging jobs where and it's different every month. This one's a trifold, as you can see, with just some artwork. Sometimes they come with books. Sometimes they come with, I have this one that's like a 3D pinball machine. It folds out into like almost a full-size pinball machine. And then it comes with 3D glasses. All the artwork is 3D, and the record is a beautiful splatter. This one has just a lot of art on this jacket that keeps folding and folding. And then every one comes with a guide. It's a really cool service. I know Vinylize, I think he's sponsored by, or was sponsored by these guys, but it shows you, you know, kind of, it comes with a booklet at a minimum showing you the artist. So these are cool, and the pressings are always cool. They're never just black vinyl records. They're always some kind of splatter or color. Look at this. That's beautiful. It's like an emerald green with a white splatter. They're all quality pressings. They're all vinyl, about 130 grams or so. They sound good. They look good. They're fun. And occasionally I try to use these for demoing record players. The thought process was that they would be more copyright friendly. That has worked out most of the time, but not always. I've gotten dinged on a couple of these, unfortunately. So anyway, that is Vinyl Moon. This is volume 73. 73. So check out Vinyl Moon. I'm not sponsored by them. They do send me records from time to time, but I'm not sponsored by them. But they do have really cool stuff. It's fun. It's different. And if you're into like Bandcamp and stuff like that, discovering new and upcoming artists, you might discover your next favorite band this way. It's a great way for indie artists to get their music out there as well. And I've talked to the guy that runs it before, a super guy, really, really nice. And they pull off these audiophile pressings and these incredible art pieces. I think it's monthly. I don't know how they do it. I really don't know how they do it. Okay, next, okay, that fell on my foot. Next up in my record collection, random records we're reviewing. Let me get caught up on comments. Can't wait for you to dive into turning your vertical record player into transcription. You know what? I got it up there on the bookshelf, and I listened to it throughout the month of December before we left out of town. I like it. The speakers aren't as good as they could be. You know, I wish the speakers sounded better, but it's still super fun. And that long tone arm and all of the clearance that's available for those. I only have 2 transcriptions, or I should say 16-inch transcription records. I've got other ones, but not. I got 10 and 12-inch ones, but I don't have any other 16-inch except for the 2. Yeah, I think somebody suggested I just unscrew the tone armrest, and that should provide the rest of the access I need. Because right now, with the tone armrest, it prevents me from dropping the needle in the lead-in groove. I have to drop it about 1/4 of an inch into the first track. Okay, next record. But yeah, I agree. I'm excited for that too. We'll have to see. Holographic would be sick. That would be so cool. There was a time when I was collecting Hawaii records, music of Hawaii, and I love Hawaiian music. I really do. I've got a small amount. If you were to, it's about that much in the crate. So it's the first 2-3 inches in the crate there. I don't have a lot. Sometimes it's fun just to play them ambiently in the background. This is an interesting one. This is Hawaii's Sunset Melodies. Hawaiian records are interesting because oftentimes they're recorded on smaller record labels. They're recorded in Hawaii, and they're fun to collect. This is Stereo 332. Look at this beautiful jacket, that photograph of that sunset there on the beach at Waikiki. This is some fun stuff. This is by Waikiki Records Company, produced by Tommy Kearns. Look at that, Waikiki Records Company. Very, very cool. So this is a fun one to have. I don't look for these anymore. Go to a thrift store, an antique store. You will find these. This is a very nice pressing. I think it's vinyl. Look at this label. Isn't that pretty? Sort of that pink. Recorded in Hawaii. 33 RPM. Pretty good condition. The playing surface is pretty dang nice. That's super, super neat. These are just fun. They're not worth anything for the most part. But like I said, I've got some on 78 too, which I need to do a show on that. They've got a cool yellow label. So for a buck and a half at a thrift store, you can get a record that was recorded in Hawaii. It's fun to branch out. And there's some guys that are just rock and roll only. I only want to collect, my Dark Side of the Moon, my Metallica, my whatever. And that's fine. For me, I listen to a lot of different types of music. And there's a point in time when I would want to listen to this. So it's fun to discover, you're not going to find this on streaming. I'm sure this never existed on CD either. This is probably the end of the line for this recording was when this was made. This looks very 60s-ish. I'd have to look it up on Discogs. But Hawaii's Sunset Melodies, that's Stereo 332. Yeah, Beach Boy. Yeah, it's very Beach Boysy. I agree. Well, Joseph, I would think of, in terms of Kaleidoscope, they do have ones that make different patterns and things. And then you've got Zoetrope records that actually animate and have like a little animation on them. Okay, next up in the collection. How much more do we? Okay, we're actually not that off. We got 3 more to go. I thought we weren't making any progress. Then I remembered that I'm putting them behind the next. I'm like, it looks like there's just as many records. This is a very, very special record. Reminds me of Don Ho. That's funny. There is a lot of music out there. And what people don't realize and perhaps don't care about is there's a lot of music that only exists in physical form. There are cylinder records that were never moved on to the next medium. There are 78s that never moved past 78s. There was, vinyl. There were, all these different formats that, died off at that stage. There are even CDs that never made it to streaming. So just because a new format comes out doesn't mean everything is going to move to the next format as well. A lot does, the most popular stuff, but there are things that only exist in physical form. This is a very special record. This is Glenn Miller and his orchestra. That's not just another greatest hits. This is the soundtrack, the 20th Century Fox soundtrack. So Glenn Miller made 2 Hollywood movies before he shipped overseas, and the rest is history, the Army Band and the AEF. But what's significant about, and it's a blurb about it down here, what's significant about the music from the 2 movies, Orchestra Wives and Sun Valley Serenade? Sun Valley Serenade, yes. I've been to Sun Valley, and I've been to the filming locations of that movie, including the resort. They do have that movie playing on 24/7 for hotel guests, and they also have pictures in the lobby. But what's super cool, if you're a Glenn Miller fan, and especially if you're a beginning Glenn Miller fan, and you're like, who cares about the, same, you've got In the Mood, you've got, Moonlight Sonata, Chattanooga Choo Choo. There's 1,000,001 greatest hits albums. Why should I get specifically the one from the movies? And the reason being, first of all, this is a cool gatefold. That's not the reason. The reason is that the 20th Century Fox recordings are notably better than the RCA studio recordings because they were recording on optical. These are not These are not, cut and wax recordings of the time. They are recorded to optical film, and as such, the fidelity on these far exceeds the studio versions of these songs. So if you're a Glenn Miller fan and you like this type of music, seek out in whatever format, because they are out there, I think on streaming, definitely on CD as well, the soundtrack recordings from the movies, 20th Century Fox recordings of the Glenn Miller music on this beautiful clouds in the sky with a red font there. Pressings are in pretty good condition. And yeah, these are cool. They sound great. Absolutely great. I think there may be a little bit of fake stereo reverb going on this. There's been efforts over the years. So this is a mixed bag, this particular. It still sounds noticeably better than what you're going to hear on their studio recordings. That being said, because they were mono recordings, and the whole fake stereo thing, I've done 2 shows on that topic. This is a victim of that. So a lot of times they tried to stereoize these recordings. And what's really interesting, these recordings were made with different pickups. So it's a combination of various recordings that were melded into the final mix. So people have taken the mono incidental recordings from the Fox sessions for Glenn Miller and have sort of repatriated those into new stereo mixes of the original mono isolation tracks, if that makes any sense. So you'll see in real stereo, Glenn Miller in real stereo, and that's what that's all about. And, you know, those aren't necessarily bad, but get a hold, listen to the Fox. This has some just kind of reverby fake stereo stuff, not real stereo. And it's also got some amazing fidelity versions. Either way, expose yourself to the Glenn Miller Fox recordings, and you will not be sad. This is Fox TCF 100-2, and yeah, this is a Fox record. Agreed. Andreas, agreed. Yeah, Joe, that's a good point. Correct, Andreas, to Zach's question. Nope, 180-gram records are just thicker. That's all that means. It's just thicker. The idea is they're less prone to warpage. But they still warp. But yeah, exactly right. They're just thicker. I wondered about that too, because it's not clear. Like I used to see when I started in this, I saw these labels, 180-gram pressing. I'm like, okay. I used to think that was like the quality of the vinyl. It's not. It's just thicker. That's all. I'm not a huge 180-gram guy because I've had plenty of warped 180-gram records. They don't seem any less prone to warpage than anything else. Crystal Records Stereo S901. I bet you don't have that in your collection. This is Vivaldi Chamber Mass. I collect classical music. I love classical music. I love Vivaldi in particular. And this is the kind of music that I would put on while I'm working. And if I'm working in Excel or working on some kind of project at work, my day job, you know, I like to have some music playing in the background. And this would really fit the bill. I love Vivaldi's Four Seasons. So this is I'm not sure what era, based on the back, I'm guessing 70s. I could check this all out on Discogs. Somebody once told me, they're like, Discogs isn't a discography. What is it? Why is it called Discogs? Discogs is not a discography. What is it? A watermelon? Okay. Crystal Records. Have you ever heard of Crystal Records? Pretty thin press. Maybe 125 gram, maybe 130 gram. Good condition, good playing surface. And nothing fancier. 1972, so we guessed right. Vivaldi Chamber Mass. Yeah, this is good. This is just good classical music to have on. Vivaldi, a violinist and a violin repair guy, obviously is going to be a very string-heavy sound. So if you like classical strings, Vivaldi is right up your alley. I love Four Seasons by Vivaldi. I love the specifically Winter. Winter of the Four Seasons is incredible. All right. I think we're down to the last one. And then it's up to you guys. You can talk about whatever you want. Well, we'll still do that in the meantime. 120, or an hour and 23 minutes we've gone so far. All right, last record. Oh, this is interesting. This is a doozy. What is this? This thing is heavy. Oh, it's a 2-disc set. Okay, that's why. Still very heavy. This is in a Tackmork sleeve. Remember I was talking about Hudson Hi-Fi sleeves and Tackmork? You can see Tackmork right there. And the records want to spill all over the floor. Just stand up for a few more minutes. This record is very heavy. This is like 150 gram pressing. I don't know if they did 150. It's not 100. Well, it might be 180 grams. But it's not a new record. This is a vintage record. Can't quite tell if it's vinyl or not. 3-dimensional sound. This is classical music. This is Italian classical music. And I don't even have a sleeve for it. I don't have a jacket, a sleeve. Musarama Remington. Let's play this since we have everything hooked up. 3-dimensional sound. Look at that. 3-dimensional sound. There's 2 discs. Both of them have pretty wide. I mean, the modulation is spread out pretty considerably over the 2 discs. That is a heavy, dense, brittle feeling record. That might be some sort of non-vinyl material like styrene. All right, let's go ahead and spin this up. Drop our stylus. Give it a listen. Oh. I love opera. I'm just messing with you. It's opera. Let's move the stylus around. That's cool. Now, I understand a lot of people would just instantly switch channels, but I love opera music, and I want to dig into it. This is what I didn't know I had. You ever do that where you don't know you have something? I didn't know I had this record. So I will definitely have to give that a listen, but these are heavy. They are heavy. You know what we're going to do? We're going to Discogs this right now. It might even be a pre-RIAA record. This might be a 50s LP. Early 50s. This is interesting. Cabo. This is. I have never heard of this label before. Music. It may be is it an overseas pressing? No, it's made in the U.S. Recorded in Europe. That was like a very luxurious thing back then. And my computer's freezing up. Why can't I do 2 things at once? Come on. Accept all cookies. Oh yeah, that's why. Okay. Musarama Remington. And this is that's a long catalog name. R-199-175-11-A. That's the longest catalog. Exploring Musarama Remington A. You couldn't find anything. Maybe if I take off the -A. The -A is side A, so sometimes that's unnecessary. Okay, not finding anything with a catalog number that matches. Let me try the title. This is Cavaleria, L-L-E-R-I-A, Rust, Yakana. Yeah, I'm not finding anything. All right, let me try Google. It's not unheard of to not find stuff on Discogs, especially if you're a geek like me and listen to off-the-wall stuff. let's see if Google can actually function. I don't know what it is with all of the bandwidth issues. I assume they're bandwidth issue. I get it, Andreas. I understand. It's not everybody's cup of tea. I totally get it. I also am not. I have an opera section, and I love the three tenors, and I love some other pieces here and there, but I'm not. I have to be in a certain mood for it. Why is Google not working? Yeah, I get it. You're not working. Google. That's all I want. Google. I think I've got fiber internet too. You would think that I need to do a ping and see. One thing that I pay more for is a faster upload speed, because when you're uploading videos, you need to be able to upload with zest and speed. Okay. Okay, we're going to turn to AI on my phone, which is also on the Wi-Fi. Let's take it off of the Wi-Fi. We're going to go on 5G, and we're going to ask ChatGPT to help us here. If you use ChatGPT as a search engine and get used to the hyper-specific answers, it's really hard to go back to Google again. When did the record Cavalleria Rusticana by Mascagni on the Musarama Remington label come out? Question mark. Now I gotta fix my spelling errors. Oh, no, that's right. By Mas CAG and I. Musarama, not Music Rama. Musarama. Okay. It'll probably answer before less time than it took to type it out. The Remington Musarama label was active during the early 50s, specializing in budget classical recordings. Interesting. Their release of Pietro Mascagani's Cavalleria Rusticana likely dates this period, approximately 51 to 53. Yes, we were right. Early 50s. Okay. AI for the win. Hey, Gary, my friend. You are enjoying early 2025, man. Popping up in the middle of the night for you. Thank you so much for being here. We just got done going through 10 random records in my collection, culminating with this very bizarre record that Discogs didn't even know what it was. We had to go to AI to get a deep dive on what the 1951 to 53 budget classical label with some opera on here. But the record pressing is really cool. There's 2 discs in a set. And like I said, it's this 3-dimensional sound. That is cool. And it's just in a thick outer sleeve, because I don't have a jacket for these. Oops, folded up in the corner. All right, so those are our 10 random records. You know what? I'm going to recap. Gary, I'm going to recap this just for you. Okay, so number 10, these are not in order, was this one. Right? My friend Gary is such a legend. He gets a recap. Number 9, not the Beatles, number 9. Vivaldi's Chamber Mass. I love classical music. Number 8 was the Glenn Miller 2-disc set from Fox, Glenn Miller and his orchestra. And we talked about how the Fox recordings of his music done for his 2 Hollywood movies are the far superior fidelity versions, because they were recorded on optical film instead of wax. Before that, we had a Hawaiian record, Hawaii's Sunset Melodies, is locally recorded in Hawaii, released on Waikiki Records. Talked about that. Before that, we talked briefly, or not so briefly, about Vinyl Moon. This is one of those custom Vinyl Moon mixtapes on vinyl. Very cool art that comes every month. Very, very unique. We talked about Manhattan Transfer and how everybody needs to immediately, after this video ends, go and look up the Java Jive song by Manhattan Transfer. That's the best song on the album. The whole album's good. Before that, Patsy Cline's "That's How a Heartache Begins." This is one of her releases after her untimely passing. This is an album of music that had not been released prior to that, that people don't know exists a lot of the time because it's not one of her top 3. Mickey Mouse Club, and we listened to this one, so go back and check that out, Gary, if you have time. We listened to some music from a 1950s serial show that was on the Mickey Mouse Club called Spinnin' Marty. We talked about Popeye on a little golden record that's not little or golden. May Castell. What movie have you seen May Castell in? We talked about that. No peeking at the comments. Actually, I don't care. You can peek. Peggy Lee's If You Go. Quincy Jones arrangement. We talked about Saturday Night Fever, timeless record, one of my original records getting back into this hobby. Also discovered the fact that I only have one of the 2 records. And it all started with The King and I, movie musicals. This is a Capitol release, tip-on sleeve, nice cover picture. That's about it, you guys. We have a few hours until the new year officially begins. And I want to get caught up on comments here. Oh, Joseph, I've heard of that. That's cool. Oh, I'll have to check that out, Andreas. Thank you so much. I will do that. In fact, I'll do it right now before I forget, because I will forget. People are shooting off fireworks already. The neighborhood is getting lit. All right, so we're going to look up the titles to classical music. It'd be so detailed and so long. And got it. All right. All right. Added. Okay, I'll check that out. Thanks for the tip. Oh, thank you so much. I will let Rain know your well wishes. Again, if you haven't done so already, go over to her channel, Rain's Place. There's a tag, a link in the description below there, so you can check that out. And I just want to say one more time this year that I love you guys. I'm very appreciative of many, many things, and you are at the top of the list because you've blessed us incredibly with your friendship and for just hanging out with us. We appreciate it. We got a lot of fun coming your way. So have a wonderful, wonderful New Year's Eve. We'll be right back with you probably tomorrow, very close thereafter. If not, more content is on the way. Be safe tonight. And I want to challenge each and every one of you, outside of all of this stuff, records, music, etc., getting caught up on your sleep, etc., I want to challenge each and one of you to spend and dedicate time tonight to thinking about the things that you are grateful for. And if you say, I'm not grateful for anything, you need to try harder, because I guarantee you have things to be grateful for, even if they are a roof over your head, food in your stomach, a friend, a parent, a job, or something else. Be on the lookout for those gratitude things. And if you suffer from anxiety like I do, fear, anxiety, stress, depression, you will find that pondering gratitude and living with a great gratitude mind does amazing things to dispel all of that anxiety stuff. So focus on gratitude and know that you guys are awesome. STP World has a last minute comment. I heard Brenda Lee. Oh, she's been singing still. It's amazing. She's even out there doing it. I think it's amazing. But anyway, be grateful. I am very much for you. Thank you so much. Happy record, honey. We will see you soon.